Your construction smells of corruption. I manipulate to recreate. This air to go around saga. Gotta launder my karma.
Common Sense Radio.
Good morning, you bunch of drunks.
Coming up, this net neutrality issue is interesting. I had the opportunity to talk to George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet about this. Has a take that you might not... Well, it's not really mainstream conservative take, and I tend to agree with him that actually the whole net neutrality thing might have been something that Obama got right. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And first things first, Jimmy Hoff, the Gateway Pundit, is out of the blocks. Oh, yes. Jim. Happy Monday, buddy. How you doing?
Good morning, Jamie.
Hey, looks like it's going to be a big week in St. Louis here for the President Trump train, as we get word that the president will be in town midweek. So
I hadn't heard that yet.
Well, there you go. You got your scoop, buddy, and it's going to be cool. You'll know all the details about what I do anyway, but still to let people know that it's happening, and it's likely going to be somewhere in St. Charles County. But we'll give people a heads up and more info as it becomes available. I know you will be there, buddy. So,
yeah, that sounds great.
Boy, sometimes I wonder whether it's just even why people even bother with these Sunday talk shows, especially the ones on ABC, and Martha Raddatz, who is just insufferable. She doesn't ask questions. She makes accusations. Like, for instance, this Tim Scott deal, I'll get to, because you don't have it really up there, but I know you're talking about Cokie Roberts, but listen to how she leads on Tim Scott about
not
this whole...
singling out minorities. You don't think he's singling out minorities.
Yeah, and trying to insinuate somehow that President Trump, because he dares disagree with black people, like, for instance, who take a knee, Colin Kaepernick, who happens to be black, or LeVar Ball, that somehow that insinuates somehow that he's picking on minorities.
That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just insane.
The assumption being that if you're a minority and you do something, you are not to, if you're not a minority, critique anything they do.
Yeah.
Even trespass in a mall. Yeah. All right, so anyway, you've got Cokie Roberts here. This gives you all... that you need to know about how the people in the mainstream media and anonymity view normal, average, everyday people. And this is Cokie Roberts. You have this up on your site about the Judge Roy Moore allegations.
One of the things to keep in mind is in the base, even women are suspicious about these sexual harassment claims. And part of the reason for that is that women who are not in fancy white-collar jobs often have really awful things happen to them on the job. They are assaulted. They are raped. They have horrible things happen to them. And so when they hear women say, he talked dirty to me or he came on to me, they think, big deal. That's not what happened to me. What happened to me is so much worse. And so there's not that same sense of affinity.
Yeah. So what's the code? What's that the code for there, Jimmy?
Well, yeah, it's she's playing the game with income, and class warfare. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, she's insinuating somehow that women who are, I guess, of a lower class, right, are just used to being raped, and that's why they don't buy into the Roy Moore allegations.
It's disgusting. And if she was aware of what's happening in the country right now, she'd know that the women in Hollywood are the ones having the worst time. And they're not working class. These are people in I want to call them white collar jobs, but they're in the arts. Maybe that's a little more dangerous than working class.
Yeah, it's interesting how you see these individuals who are actually looking for any kind of crevice to crawl into instead of deal with the real issues. Like, for instance, Hollywood is a much bigger deal, and what's happening there, and even in Congress, than anything that relates to Roy Moore. And yet they want to go there, or they want to still talk. Right. Even when Al Franken or when John Conyers gets nailed, they want to go back to Donald Trump.
Right. Or else they'll start calling him the icon of the Congress, you know?
Yeah.
And at the same time, they want Roy Moore to step down and for accusations that are 38 years old.
Then over at MSNBC, Jimmy, you've got Joy Reid, who has tweeted out that rural Americans, she called them a minority. That's a threat to our democracy. I mean, that's over at MSNBC.
Right. She went on a tirade on Twitter. This Joy Reid, she's she's an activist, is what she is. She's a racial activist, and she's commonly people mock this woman because she has some pretty ignorant things to say and offensive, and so she's saying blasting rural Americans.
Unbelievable.
I don't know how Democrats think this helps their cause when they continually trash everybody who doesn't vote for them, you know?
Yeah, and how these illegal aliens, for instance, how they think that blocking a Macy's Day Parade will help their cause. I don't understand that either, and that's also on your website. That's at gatewaypundit.com. Jimmy, good talking to you, and we'll keep in touch about the president's visit and more. At Gateway Pundit.
Terrific.
On Twitter is Jimmy Hoft, gatewaypundit.com. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you as always. It's Common Sense Radio. Coming